Thanks very much, Karen. Interesting you're talking about the international perspective. I have been running this program now right across Europe, from Moscow through to Prague, to Paris, London, so lots and lots of places, Florida, and been working on developing this whole process of looking at how do we lead and how do we follow, and how does that connect us into coaching? And how does that give us this edge? Because we're talking about a competitive edge, but thinking about competing to find the best in ourselves. So this presentation is going to focus on 3 key points. First of all, we're going to look at the essence of the coaching relationship. Then we're going to be talking about a lot about the whole nature of leading and following, and of course the dynamics of teamwork. And this is hopefully will connect through all of the other workshops that you'll be attending today. So if we have a look at the form that we're going to use, because whether you're dancing tango or doing coaching, running an organization, there's a structure. We need a structure that actually liberates creativity. One of the things we'll discover today is that tango is about improvisation. So how do we provide a shape, a form, a structure that doesn't constrict but liberates? So we're going to talk about the form, and the form in tango is incredibly simple. We'll show you. It's just 2 people walking together. How simpler could that be? One person walking forwards and the other person walking backwards. So I guarantee you will all be tango dancers by the end of an hour and 15 minutes. What we're also looking at is the whole notion of connection. How do we engage with each other? How do we find that sensitivity and awareness with each other in order to learn, in order to develop, in order to build the quality of the connection? At AoEC, we talk about the relationship between the coach and the coachee as being the fundamental change point of the coaching practice. So we're looking at that. How do we develop that connection? Our need to be clear and direct in where we're going with our interventions, but at the same time being sensitive and inviting. This description of leadership, of being a leader, when I first saw it, I thought, wow, isn't that a wonderful definition? The leader creates a space that the follower wants to step into. And you can talk to my team and see whether I actually live that out, but I like to think that I do. I like to think that I'm leading with enough clarity and direction, but at the same time making it invitational so that people want to or inspired to come along. So we'll be covering that whole part of dancing tango and how that relates to you as the coach who's having to deliver your intervention in a way that's clear and concise, but also brings your coachee along with you. All of you who have been through our programs focus on creating your own coaching model. This is the highlight of all our AoEC programs. Who are you? How do you do it? What is your thinking? And that gives you a really solid grounding in who you are and what you do. So if you're grounded, then that also leaves you the space to be free. You also have to have that space, the ability to adapt and change, adjust creatively to your client all the time. So you're being both grounded and free and creative. And we'll show you how that works within the tango medium as well. Finally, of course, you do have to learn the tools, the skills, the techniques, the structures. How does this coaching business work? What are the sorts of interventions that we use? When do we use them? What are the boundaries? What are the standards that we're aspiring to? Just the same in tango. So we'll talk to you about the techniques of walking forward, walking backwards, and walking to the side. And finally, For those of you who are a fan of Csikszentmihalyi, who's written a lot about the whole notion of flow, there comes a point where we have to let go. We have to give up on what we have learned and let ourselves discover each moment as it emerges. And that notion of being in the moment is very central to my whole background. I come from some 30 years of practicing Gestalt, and Gestalt is all about being present, being here and now, engaging, developing awareness. I'm also a huge fan of Tim Gallwey. Many people familiar with Tim Gallwey and the inner game? I think it's especially appropriate in our theme today about developing a competitive edge, because Tim Gallwey talks in the inner game about the outer game, the competition that we're having with our opponent, in our games, in our work together. We're engaging out there, but we also have a game in our heads, the inner game. And when that inner game becomes a competition, then we seriously lose our performance. So what we're trying to do is sort out the game in our head so that we work in alignment. We are cooperating with all our internal processes so that then we're able to engage with energy and vitality out there in the world. So the inner game and the outer game. And we'll be exploring that through our Tango as well. The other area that's influenced me enormously is the whole notion of body work. And when you, for those of you who are going to go to Nick's workshop on embodied leadership, you'll hear a lot more about how we use our bodies. But I've done a lot of work around Pilates, for instance, Alexander technique, yoga, Feldenkrais. All of these methodologies help us find our core, our center. Whether we're practicing it in our coaching, and we need to find our core, our center, in order to engage clearly, so too within Tango, it's about finding where we're centered and grounded in ourselves so that we can engage, we can lead firmly, and that we can follow with real willingness. Then the other component that you're going to hear about today is team coaching. Because Tango, as in one-to-one coaching, is about this relationship. It's about a team. And we'll spend a lot of time in the exercises around the Tango looking at how do we collaborate, how do we work together to get the best from our relationship. So team coaching has influenced my thinking around the Tango, and with Hilary and Louise, those of you who are selected to do the team coaching will find out a lot more about how we engage in our teamwork and how we develop a systemic team coaching model that in a little way applies here in the way we work. And finally, of course, Argentinian tango. I have been dancing for about 5 years. I was introduced to tango when I was working for PwC on one of their Leader as Coach programs, and my internal co-leader said, you know, I'm doing this tango thing and it seems to relate an awful lot to what we're doing in our course. Why don't you come along and meet them? Which I duly did, and have been going ever since, as many times a week as I can actually get. And we then brought them along to our Leader as Coach workshop, and I am going to actually take you through the exercise that they did with us. So the first exercise I'm going to do with you is the very first exercise I did for in my tango practice, thinking about leading and following. So this whole notion of using tango to explore something much bigger is right central to all of my practice. So it's your turn now. What I'm going to do is ask you to stand up and put your papers to one side, and maybe even push the chairs back a little bit. So we need as much space as possible here. And please don't be shy. I think you've got to come out from behind the chairs. The floor was cleared specially for you to fill it. So please come right out into the middle. And maybe you could, if we need to, push some of the chairs back. Fantastic. Are we all here? Good. Now, Tango is extraordinarily simple. You wouldn't think that when you watched it on Strictly, but then they do a lot of fancy stuff. But actual fact, Tango is simply two people walking, one person walking forward and the other person walking backwards. But we do it in a particular way. This is Judith, my wife, who I've finally persuaded to join me.
5 years later.
5 years later. So, no, just, so, so what we're doing is just one person walking forward. So if I'm leading, I step forward and your partner steps back. And this is the way we do Tango. This is it. And then I'll walk backwards and my partner walks forwards. What could be simpler than that? You say. Okay, so the first exercise, what I want you to do is find a partner. So just stand beside someone. Just stand next to someone. Thank you. I've got myself a gong. One of the things we're going to have to do in order to move through in the time available is to not say very much. So so please, when we come together, say your name just very briefly so that we can move on, because we've got a short time. So what I want you to do is stand next to your partner. It doesn't matter how you do that, but just be connected as if you're in a bubble, okay? So you're connected to your partner. So this is about how do we stay connected when there is no leader and no follower? How do we communicate? How do we make our way around the room? So the only instruction is to stay together. If you don't hold on, yes, that's right. So don't hold on, no talking. And then what you have to do is move around the room together, finding this space and staying in touch with each other. And notice how the leading and the following emerges. What happens? How do you do that when you've no words to use? Okay, so I'll shout go, and I just want you to move around the room as fast or as slowly as you wish, but it's about the connection and the sensitivity. Off you go. That's it. Pay attention to how does leading and following happen in your relationship. And what would happen if you stretched it? If it was more of a challenge? If you moved maybe a little bit more quickly? If you moved in different patterns? Notice what happens to the connection. Lovely, and stop, and don't say anything, please, and find another partner. Hi. And put your hand up if you don't have a partner. Put your hand up if you don't have a partner. Here we go. One more. Have we got a partner here? Could we have a partner? Do you want to join in? Lovely. And just the same exercise. Now notice how it's different this time. You know, how does this partnership work compared to the last one? So exactly the same. No words, no holding on, staying together, filling the space. Off you go. Fantastic. And just stop and stay still for a moment and just notice what that was like for you and your partner. What was the collaboration, the partnership like? What worked, what didn't work? And I'd like you to have four couples join together. So could just 4 couples join together? It doesn't matter, 4, 6, 8, it's just rough, because this is now the team, okay? So it's the same exercise. As a group, as a team, you've got to move around the room together without talking and see how does the leading and following happen, and how do you show up as a leader and follower. So just notice if you slip into normal patterns of taking over or not showing up at all. Okay, off you go, round the room. Ready for the music? No. 1 minute.
Ben just wants you a second. You get a question.
And now watch what happens when the environment changes and something else goes on that influences. Just keep moving. Just something's going to happen that will change, influence how you work together. Notice how that shifts. Does it bring you together or does it make it more difficult? Lovely, thank you very much. Now, just get into a little group of 2 or 3 and just have a chat. You know, what happened? What happened? How did you fulfill the objectives of working together? Just have a chat about these questions and how did it connect up? So what did you do well in order to collaborate, to work together as a team? What could you have done differently to be more effective? In groups of 3. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Fantastic. Now, what I'd like you to do is find another partner, because we're going to move on and look at the whole notion of connection. How do we connect in this leader and follower relationship? So first of all, find another partner. Now, just find a partner. And if you haven't got a partner, put your hand up. Sorry? I think we probably do if there's odd numbers. Put your hand up. Okay, very good. So one person is going to be leader and one person is going to be follower. Could you just do that silently? It ends up one. Who's going? Somebody, one person in your pair is leader, the other is follower. Yes? So whoever's the follower, I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes if you're the follower. The follower closes their eyes, okay? So the follower closes their eyes. This is quite important, this bit. So the follower closes their eyes, whoever's the follower in the two. Thank you. Keep your eyes closed. Now the leader has to go and find another follower. And what I want you to do is come behind them and put their hands on their shoulder. Okay? So just come along. So the followers got their eyes closed. Come and put your hands behind them on their shoulder. So you do not know. That's right. Move around and find another follower. Now, if you have a follower without anybody on your shoulder, could you put your hand in the air? Just put your arm up so that all of the leaders know where there isn't a follower. As soon as you've got someone behind you, put your hands down. I'm sorry, this is just a little bit of a logistic issue. I can't understand why there aren't any. Are there any more leaders around? Who are the leaders floating? Could the people who are followers stick their hands right up, and the people who are followers, put their hands up, and those who are leaders find them? Who are the leaders? We've got, here we go, I'm sorry, this is, if you have someone on your shoulders, put your hands down. Okay, sorry, this is taking quite a long time. We're in quite full. Okay, so the exercise is for you now. The exercise is for the leader to take your follower round the room and look after them. So you have to do something. You have to be both firm and clear in your direction, but you have to be sensitive where you're going. Now, what I want the follower to do is to give feedback on a scale of 1 to 10. So that 1 is whenever you experience the leadership as too soft and unclear. You don't know where you're going, or it's kind of not challenging enough. And 10 is when it's too much. I don't feel comfortable. And you're constantly giving this readout. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. 6, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5. Okay, so now because we have a lot of people in the room, you're going to have to speak up, and the follower leaders are going to have to get a little bit close so you can hear. Okay, so yes, the whole point is that this is a blind walk. Okay, you're being taken for a blind walk, and your leader, and you are giving feedback to your leader on the quality of their leadership, whether in a balance between being both firm and sensitive. Are you ready? Guiding. That's right. It depends. That might be considered a 7 if you're pushing from the back. But you're basically taking them, guiding them round the room, taking them for a walk and being aware of the environment, the context in which you're in. That's the leader's job.
Can the leader speak?
No, no words, no sounds. You just have to listen. And listen with your ears, but also listen with your hands. Feel your way around where your partner is and what they need. Ready? Off you go. Fantastic, and stop. Don't say anything. Shh. Just stay quiet for a moment. Stay quiet. Sorry. Could the followers close their eyes still, put their hands in the air? Followers, close their eyes, put their hands in the air. Leaders, find another follower. Off you go. So followers keep their hands in the air till a leader arrives. Fantastic. Put your hands right up if you are a follower that doesn't have a leader.
Thank you.
Now, this time, what I want you to do, leaders, is come round to the front. So I want to lead you, want them come round to the front. Okay. Only this time, I want the followers to put their hands on the shoulders of the leader. Guide their hands up. Now, this is important, and the leader just drop their hands, because what you're having to do is guide your follower with your shoulders. This is a key part of the structure of Tango. In Tango, we lead with our chest, with our shoulders. So stand facing your follower without using your hands, their hands, and you're now going to have to guide them even more sensitively because you don't have your hands. And the follower, please give the feedback in the same way. Ready? Off you go. Lovely, and just come to a still and don't say anything, just let yourself feel what was it like to be led and what was it like to lead in this way. Fantastic. And now could I have the leaders, could the leaders now close their eyes? The leaders close their eyes and put their hands in the air. So the leaders are closing their eyes and putting their hands in the air. And now all of those who were followers have now become leaders, and you have to go and find someone with their hands in the air and put your hands on their shoulders, exactly as it happened to you. No. Oh, those who were the leaders keep their eyes closed. Those who were followers open their eyes. Those who were followers are now the new leaders. So you find If you don't have a partner, stretch your hand up so we can see. Fantastic. And now it's the same exercise again. Now as followers, you are giving feedback to your leader on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being too soft, 10 being too strong. And as the leader, you're having to adjust your leadership to accommodate your follower. Off you go.
Try and make an effort to repeat the questions. If you can do that for me.
So far, the questions have been irrelevant. Are you not joining in? Would you mind pushing the chairs back? Because it's a little bit cramped. Lovely. And come to a standstill. Don't say anything. Just sit, stand quietly, and just notice what it felt like, what worked and what didn't work. And keep your eyes closed, because the idea is you don't see who your leader is. Followers, put your hands up in the air again. And leaders, followers, put your hands up. Followers, put your hand up. The ones who are being followers this time, those who had their eyes closed in the last exercise, and the leaders now find a new follower. Put your hand down as soon as someone comes to your shoulder. Thank you. Yes. Are we nearly there? And of course, you come round to the front this time, and you put your followers' hands on your shoulders. Fantastic. So the followers' hands, put their hands on your shoulders. You are now going to lead them with your body. You're going to maneuver them round. Requires extra sensitivity. Off you go. Try not to use any words. That's it. Keep giving feedback so your follower, so your leader knows what's required. And of course, as leader, you've got to pay attention to yourself and the environment around you. Lovely. And just come to a close and stay with your eyes closed. And could the followers put their hands up in the air again? And the leaders find another partner. So leaders find another partner, and just put your hand on their shoulder when you find them. And put your hands down as soon as someone touches your shoulder, so we know. Yes, are we all here? There's one at the back. Have we still got one leader? I don't understand how we've suddenly gone. Anyway, turn round and face your partner. And now have a conversation. Join any group. Just join a group. Lovely, thank you. Thank you. Lovely, thank you very much. Wow, it's really buzzy, isn't it? It's great fun. So you're nearly there. You're about a third of the way towards dancing tango. You've got the notion of you're leading with your shoulders, you're being sensitive, you're paying attention, and you can see how this is connecting to your coaching. How are you sensitive in the way you lead, the way you intervene, and how responsive are you to the feedback from your client? So the next exercise is about looking at how do we lead, how do we invite in a way that creates a space that the follower wants to step into. So what we're going to do now is an exercise in mirroring. So would you like to just step up in here? So what we're going to do is you're going to find another, actually the partner you're with would be great. So just stay with the partner you're with. And what we're going to do is one person is going to be leader and one person is going to be follower. Mm-hmm. And this is a sort of a dance or a movement exercise. All you're going to do is simply copy what I do. So I move my hand and you move the other one and I move this leg and then we go down and we go up. And I am trying to do something that actually connects us. And of course, if I start to move to... So it's about, so grab a space in the room, and leader is follower, and the leader just leads. It's a body mirroring exercise, and just notice how well you collaborate together. Off you go. And no words, and just be aware of the environment that you're in. How creative can you be within the space that you've got? Now remember, it's about teamwork. It's about collaboration. And just notice now what happens when we add some other element in the environment to your movements. Does it help or does it not? Lovely, thank you. Now switch roles before you say anything. Switch roles. Switch roles. Switch roles. And off you go again. Now it's your turn to lead and have the other person follow and see how expansive and creative you can be, but still in relationship. It's all about collaboration and teamwork. Off you go. Try track 3. I think it's a bit faster. And again, when we have the environment, what happens? Lovely, thank you very much indeed. I always love it when that happens. I think it's a good example of coaching because I didn't do anything. I gave a few instructions and you've created it all yourselves. You did all of that. So anyway, so now just have a chat So this is about the partnership. It's about a clear leading, the leader inviting, and the follower being willing to follow. So how effective were you? What worked? How well did you work on a scale of 1 to 10? What worked to get you the, it's typical. You know all of these questions. Off you go. 2 or 3 minutes just to have a debrief on that exercise. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so now we're going to look at this whole point about being both grounded and creative. So what I want you to do is all turn so that you're facing anti-clockwise. So we're all going to walk anti-clockwise round the room. So I want you to face anti-clockwise. That's it. So face this direction. That's it. Fantastic. Because what I want you to do, is very slowly, I want you to walk. And I want you to notice what happens. I want you to experience transferring your weight from one foot to the next, planting it down and feeling it on the ground, picking your other foot up and moving. You do this every day, I know, but you don't usually pay attention to it. So just walk around, just be aware of everybody else in the room. What I want you to do is just walk around and just notice. An awful lot of coaching is about just being aware of what we do. And this is a very simple exercise, but just notice how you transfer the weight and how grounded when you've got one foot on the ground and one foot free, like you're halfway through the step. Just notice that space. And when you're halfway through, you just pause in the middle with your feet together, but one foot is holding the weight and the other's free. And just let that free leg float for a little bit before you put it down again. And then what I'd like you to do is do the same but backwards. Now, of course, I want the person who's to watch out for the people in front of you. So you can walk back, and if somebody's going to walk into you, just put their hands on their shoulders. We're quite crowded here, so you don't have to look. You know that the person behind you is looking after you and they won't get stepped on. Again, watch that movement, that shape of the way you lift and move your feet, because this is about being solid on one foot before you take the second one. And then pause again in the middle, halfway through. Lovely. And then come to a stop for a moment. So we're talking about one leg being weight bearing, the other being free to be creative. So when we do this in Tango, we find that we've got one leg free here. This is what happens. We've got one leg that we can play with, and it allows us to move backwards and forwards. And we can do some quite fun things once we've got that leg free. That's where you see all of the tango stuff that happens. we play with the free leg. In your own coaching practice, you're solid and grounded in your theory and your practice, and then you've got the other leg free to play and do with it what you want. Okay, so you need a partner. Find another partner. That was good. That was perfect. Put your hand up if you haven't got a partner. Oh. Hand up if you haven't got a partner. Okay. One partner. So, the very first exercise I want you to do is, first of all, decide who's leader and follower. So we need one person to be leader and one person to be follower. Okay. Where is he? So the very first exercise is that both the leader and the follower, it's this mirroring exercise that we did before, but all you're doing is changing weight. And the follower has to mirror the shift of weight, okay? This is the first step, because I need to know where my partner's weight is, so because then I have the leg free. So all we're doing is shifting weight. So all you're doing, if you keep your feet reasonably close together and see if you can shift, and then, okay, and yes, has everybody got that? Now see if you can do it without looking down, so that you can, again, you're watching your partner's shoulders, and see if you can play with the rhythm. So this is the same as the last time. It's a mirroring exercise, and you are now leading the rhythm. So sometimes it will be slow, and sometimes it will be quick. But you're staying on the spot. First of all, stay on the spot. And then see how subtle can you make this shift of weight. So it's a private conversation that anybody looking really wouldn't know. This is, you're doing it so gently that just is simply the shift in weight. So that nobody would know except your partner. Play with that. And then what I'd like you to do is just subtly switch roles to leader and follower. I'd like you to change the leader. And again, just explore the leading of the weight change. That's it. That's it. And see if you try keeping your feet closer together. Experiment with being close so that it's just a little shift of weight. And now, maintaining the same leader and follower, when you land on your weight on one foot, then play with the free foot. Play with that. So you've got to follow. Again, it's the mirroring. And how do you find the balance? You'll discover how this shift the weight. And see if you can do it without words. The way you're able to lead, and follow this will make a big difference to the way you're able then to move forward to lead. And then change back to the original leader. And the leader, first of all, so this is the original leader where you started this little sequence. The leader, again, just change weight as you did before, but then begin to play with the free leg. So that you've got options for what you do, and your follower responds and is sensitive. It's all about communication. Fantastic. And now just have a conversation with your partner. How did that work as a team? Lovely, thank you. Okay. Wow. See, you're getting on really well. We're on to technique and skill. So now you're going to move. So what I would like you to do is find a new partner, first of all, and decide who's going to be leader and follower. Find a new partner. Stay close. Just stay close to the center. Lovely, thank you. Put your hand up if you don't have a partner. Hand up if you don't. Hand up. There has to be one more. There we go. Find each other. Wonderful. Okay. So now we've got that sensitivity. We've got that sense of balance. We know how to lead clearly. So we're building this together. So now you know what it's like to lead clearly in your movements. You're able to shift your balance. You're sensitive to where your partner is. So now we're going to take some steps. So this is the part. So what I want you to do is whoever's leader stands straight up and the follower puts their hands on their shoulders. So now we're in the same position of the blind walk, okay? So you can see. If you just pay attention, I'll show you. Would it be easier on the stage? Can you see here? Can everybody see? Way better on the stage? So, follower, hands on the shoulders of the leader. So the leader now has to lead with their shoulders, no nodding, no hinting, and then you've got to first of all change weight, okay? So, and the follower has to be sensitive to where I change my weight. Now, once I know my followers got their weight, I've got a free leg, I've got a free leg. If this is nice and firm, as soon as I step forward, my partner's going to step backwards or this way. I can also do something rather exciting. I can step to the side. But if my partner is on this foot and I go to do this, she can't, because her weight depends where her foot is, okay? So it's about I first of all get to know where her foot is, and then I clearly step where I'm going, and then that looks easy, doesn't it? Ha, 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 ha. You'd be surprised how much sensitivity it requires to do that. Are you ready to have a go? And don't forget, leaders, we're quite full. Okay. And it works if the follower closes their eyes like they did before, because that increases the sensitivity. Now, you do have to watch when you take a step. Be very careful. Check leader behind you, your environment. And when you're ready, shift weight. And when you're sure you've got your partner, then you've got to, in the way you did before, you've got to be decisive. This is about the clarity of direction. Very good. And don't be afraid to come to rest and still. We know that in our coaching, the silence is just as important as the words. So the silence in Tango is the pause. What we call you collect, you pause, you wait, and then you take another step. So side step, back step, front step. Wonderful. Notice how you prepare your partner. Notice about any sense of confusion or unclarity. Okay, switch roles, switch roles. Switch roles, and when you're ready, off you go. Recommend that the followers close their eyes so they can be really sensitive. Leaders, do pay attention to the environment, the context you're in. And do remember the pause. We often get carried away with the content of our coaching conversations. We forget to pause, to pay attention to coming back to our center, to be grounded before we take another step. Fantastic. So just stop and have a conversation. Lovely, thank you. Fantastic. So find another partner and we'll run the exercise again. Find another partner. Put your hand up if you don't have a partner. Hand up if you don't have a partner. Put your hand up if you don't have a partner. Hand up. So one, over here. Over here. Lovely. So we repeat the exercise. Repeat the exercise. We're 90% there now. You're nearly dancing tango. Again, decide who's leader and follower. Follower put their hands on the shoulders of the leader. And just one other thing. I'd like you to experiment. I'd like you to experiment here with, you know, we did a scale of 1 to 10. Experiment as the leader, again, like you did in the blind walk. Experiment being, what's it like if you're a little bit too strong? And what happens if you're a little bit too weak? Just experiment. Go to the polarities. You know, in Gestalt, we do that a lot. Expand out to find out what it's like to do something. And you could use the same scale of 1 to 10. Oh, as before, the follower gives feedback to the leader. If you keep your eyes closed, I think it will help. You don't have to, but I would encourage you to keep the follower to keep their eyes closed, because that, I don't know whether you noticed, but that increases your sensitivity to the feel, the body movement. Okay, so followers, hands on their shoulders. Don't forget, shift, change of weight, take your time, pause, and when you're ready, then take your partner for a walk. Backwards, forwards, to the side. And to help us stay together, could we move anti-clockwise? When we were doing the walking together, could we walk together round the room, sideways, backwards? Could we aim to move round the room in an anti-clockwise way? And again, just notice what happens when we add something into the environment. And see if you can move anti-clockwise round the room. This is then collaborating with the whole room. And then change roles. Change roles. Fantastic. So off you go again. You've changed roles. And first of all, feel the connection. So remember what we're talking about: connection, leading and following, shift of weight. And don't forget, your leading is an invitation, always an invitation. You are of service. It's servant leadership. You're collaborating together as a team. You could experiment being too strong and too soft. And the follower might also pay attention to if they're too soft. The follower needs to have some firmness in their experience. And again, notice what happens when we add another component. Fantastic. You are now dancing tango. That's it. Fantastic. And just come to a standstill, have a chat about that. How did that work? Okay, find another partner and one more dance together. Put your hand up. Okay. So, decide who's leader and follower. Follower puts their hands there. And then, as the leader, just to help that step, you put the leader puts their hands there, and then dum ba dum ba da da dum, and you can feel the connection here. This is where the energy goes. Your body in tango stays quite firm. Those who have done Pilates or yoga, that's the position you want. You're upright, and you're holding your body in this way. And your body stays together, and you're communicating through your shoulders. The energy of your body comes through here, from your center, through there, and down to your legs. That's the structure. So, I always recommend that the follower keeps their eyes closed, but that's up to you. So when you're ready, so follower puts their hands. Okay, and off you go. Go anti-clockwise round the room. That'll make it easier. Hot track. You don't have that. Okay, and switch partners, switch roles, switch role. Very good for marriage therapy. Okay, and off you go, last dance. Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Brilliant. So a couple of minutes to have a chat, then we'll wrap up and we'll go for a break. So a couple of minutes just to have a, so what's the connection between the coaching, your leading and your following in this tango movement? And so just 2 minutes.
I think, are we bang on time?
We're,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
just thank me. You thank me.
Hello.
Thank you.
I'd really like to thank you, John. Thank you, John, for getting
Pleasure.
us all moving.
Great. Anybody likes to go dancing tonight, just see me.
We won't have energy left by the end of today for dancing. Thank you so much for all your tangoing efforts. We can tango to coffee now, but efforts. We have to be back in our breakout rooms at 11:15. And if you're not sure where you are, they're all written up outside in the coffee area, so you can see exactly which workshops you're at and the room that you will be in the coffee area. And we'll all be around to help you anyway. Thank you. See you later.